This is Leave Your Mark. I am Vince Cortese, and today's guest is Marchi Sadek Reyes. He is a cancer patient. He resides in Albuquerque, Puerto Rico, and he is a music producer, DJ Vampiro, songwriter, poet, and an AWS cloud consultant. He's known for his artistic skills and his battle with brain cancer. He is also an Instagram extraordinaire and a TikTok entertainer. Sadiq, thank you for being here today. I'm so interested in you sharing your story with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's nice to be here. And just wanted to make a quick correction. I live in Rockville, Maryland, but I am from Arecibo, Puerto Rico. I was born there. So
Okay.
Hi there, and welcome. Now it's time for America's favorite podcast, Leave Your Mark, with your host, Vince Cortez.
If it's fly, loose fitted, it's Cortez. If freezing, chubbers in it, it's Cortez.
Leave Your Mark is about inspiring the world, one guest at a time.
Pass the word from Brooklyn to Pittsburgh, from urban to suburb, it's Cortez, you heard?
And here is our host, Vince Cortez.
See, you're almost a northerner.
yeah, no, I'm actually not too far from you. So
Yeah, no, not too far at all. You a Ravens fan?
I am not. I'm actually a very neutral person when it comes to sports, and my friends always question me.
Okay, yeah, because these, the people, at the end of the day, Puerto Rico upbringing, these people in America get a little crazy about their home teams.
Yep.
Being from Pittsburgh, I can relate to that. So let's get into this. Your childhood began in Puerto Rico, and share a little bit about your family life.
Sure, I'll kind of do a quick, recap, I guess. So I was I was born in Arecibo, Puerto Rico. I immediately was moved to the Dominican Republic, and there I was raised for a few years, and my childhood is far from orthodox, right? So like I actually, went from PR which is Puerto Rico, to the Dominican Republic. Then we moved to the Bronx, to New York, and then I moved over to Lynn, Massachusetts. Spent some time there, and I mean I could go on for 20 minutes about this. So I actually moved around quite a bit, and for a variety of reasons. And I grew up as a troublemaker, definitely, without sugarcoating it, and so I was just moving from place to place, kind of jumping around, and was in South Beach. And I mean, literally, Vince, I could talk about this forever. So I'm going to kind of pause there. It was kind of like the childhood was a little all over the place. So.
Okay. So now you work your way through high school, and we're getting ready for the work world. What was your first toe in the water on that?
So I dropped out of school at the age of 13, and I got my GED, right? And so I'm actually self-taught. I consider myself an autodidact, right? And most of my friends are well-educated, MBAs and that sort of thing. We speak the same language, right? So at the age of 18, I actually started selling power wheelchairs, power mobility devices. I was a 1099 contractor for about 4 or 5 companies. One of those was actually Nextel. So I used to sell pretty large size deals of when Nextel and Blackberries were kind of booming, right, in that era. So that you have an idea of there. And I actually joined a good buddy of mine for a general contracting firm that he had, and I helped be his operations guy and salesman. So I spent some time doing that as well. And so the beginning of my career into work, right, was actually a combination of different types of work.
Now, how long did you do this business with your friend of yours?
I would say that was about maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I was doing that concurrently with a few other business ventures that I had at the time that I just mentioned.
So you're widely skilled with the experience of moving around in your youth. So moving forward, how did you make it? Because you're 37 years old now, and you got some experience in the real world under your belt. So where did you move around again, or where did you land, and what happened next?
I think where I actually got the breadth of my experience and my skills was actually I was an experiential marketer, and I would set up guerrilla marketing events for a large marketing company. So I got my experience in working with larger tech companies, automotive companies, and industrial companies, like just many different types of companies. So I was exposed at a young age to a variety of types of people, from the C-suite to just layman, so to speak, right? So for me, that experience was invaluable because I got to connect with different kinds, personalities, and people.
Connect with us on LinkedIn. Be our friend on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Whether jumping out the MP or jumping on the app.
You are listening to Vince Cortese. We just want you to leave your mark.
Now, along the way here, you're picking up some serious skills. And these are jobs that are usually associated with this fellow who's got a GED. So obviously, you're a smooth talker. You know how to interview well, or you know how to make connections very quickly. So kind of share with me how these experiences roll into you being a Renaissance man.
Yeah, I think the key thing here for me is, I know how to really just connect with people, kind of, as you mentioned, strategic partnerships, and acting as a liaison for companies has been my thing, right? And being a salesman, and learning how to connect with people, and not just on a surface level, just understanding what different peoples are like, different personality types, different styles of folks, different personas. It just came natural, right? So I think that was a key thing. When it comes to Renaissance man, I mean, I decided I wanted to start making music at the age of 25, and within 6 months, I was full time. I quit my job, and I did that for about 9 or 10 years, right?
Oh wow! So you got a career going on now.
Yeah. So I did that. I stopped. So I stopped doing the music thing about maybe 5 or 6 years ago now. So I did spend some time traveling. Done Van's Warped Tour and a lot of big tours. Traveled with Disturbed and all this random stuff that you would never imagine somebody like me would do. So.
Well, you seem to have a good grip on what it is you want to do within your travels. Now, all your experience comes in. How long ago did you find out you had cancer?
Actually, it was about, I remember this because it was around, 4-year mark of me, being sober from, alcohol. And it was on April 12th. So kind of having a quasi celebration with some friends of mine. And I remember as I was talking to a friend of mine, and I just felt, like they call it auras or premonitions of seizures. And I felt just strange. And I usually take my blood pressure on a daily basis just because I noticed that. And it could have been job related, who knows, right? But I felt like my blood pressure was higher. So I started monitoring that with my primary care doctor. And so, that I went to the hospital that evening, the emergency room, and I found out that I had a mass or a lesion is what they were calling it. They kept me in the hospital overnight, and the actual radiologist came in and mentioned that I actually had what they thought it was glioblastoma because of the way that the contrast looked, right? So,
and then for the audience, what is glioblastoma?
Glioblastoma is considered now that I think WHO has changed the way the grades are. That would be a very difficult to treat cancer, a brain cancer in particular, typically a primary brain tumor. And it's very difficult to be treated, right? This is the thing that Kennedy passed away from and a lot of other folks. And you have a very short timeline, typically, right? In this world, the prognosis isn't the greatest, right?
Now, when you find out you cancer, this is always an interesting. What was your initial thought when he told you you had a lesion in your brain and it could be cancerous?
So, I had a whirlwind of emotions going on. The one part was learning about this, being recently engaged, feeling like my life was just, I've always done fairly well, and my friends considered me to be successful. I felt like I've been successful most of my life, but I just got engaged, and I moved into this beautiful house and these sorts of things, and I just felt like I had a lot more work to do. So I was overwhelmed. I think that, for me, I'd never once said, why me? Why did this happen to me? I actually, at the hospital, I remember thinking like, I mean, I've always been one of those people that would think like, which one of my friends is going to get this terminal illness? Somebody's going to get something here soon, and I was like, for me being the person that I am, I was like, why not me? Go figure. Like the guy that's been through all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it was intense.
Well, you're battle tested at that point, more than you would know. So, with this being a small window, what was your initial steps as far as taking action against this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what I actually, so there was a couple options that I was given. One was kind of sit and wait and monitor. The other one was, I couldn't really necessarily get a biopsy, which is where they kind of identify what's going on, determine what kind of cancer it is, what kind of mutation, and, determine the path to treat this. Right. And what I decided to go with was have surgery. It's an awake brain surgery. They call it an awake craniotomy, where I'm actually awake and conscious, and I'm talking to the, anesthesiologist. I'm talking to the surgeons and the nurses. And they're asking me these kinds of questions. So just to kind of test my functionality, because my tumor is located in my left frontal lobe, and that's where kind of my core motor functions, speech. I'm bilingual, so they had to do a functional MRI to determine where that sat in my brain. Is it, where's my Spanish kind of ringing, the bell, so to speak, when they're asking me questions. And then where's the English, and when I move my hands, where's that kind of located? And so anyway, kind of fast forward along, that's what we ended up doing, was having the awake craniotomy. And there was a lot of risks going into that surgery, right? And I think that for anyone that's had experience with cancer or any kind of major surgery, these, they'll give you the, what's the most common post-surgery, and then what's, very, the least chance of, these things occurring, but still a risk. So they have to voice that to you. So I actually ended up, they said maybe I couldn't speak anymore. I wouldn't talk the same way or think as sharp. I'm a multitasker.
Wow.
And they were like, maybe you can't do as much, right? So that's kind of the gist of that
So that operation, then, from when you found out, what was the time span on that?
So
couple
April
months.
12th, we moved fairly quickly. April 12th is when I found out. I sent an email to Johns Hopkins on the 13th. I was in surgery on April 30th.
Wow.
If you are listening from Australia, Florida, or just from around the corner,
From East Coast to West Coast outlets, if you're not into the dirty South straight, make a left and body.
contact us. Leave your mark with your host, Vince Cortese.
Okay, so that's not really a lot of time to kind of study up on what you're going to go. What you just described was extremely heavy. Having someone working or tinkering with your brain while you're conscious. So that in itself is a unique operation. How long did that last?
Including the time to check in with the anesthesiologist and get the IV and that sort of thing. It was about 5.5 hours. Yeah, in and out.
Now, how was your recovery coming out of that?
Oof, rough. So I when I got out, and no one told me, that I was going to have a urinary catheter. I've never had a major surgery, right? I've yet to. And so I had this urinary catheter. No one explained that to me. And I just, the day that I got out of surgery on May 2nd. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this is intense. And I was pumped full of all kinds of drugs. And I'm not a big fan of, any mood altering substances. And my main goal was to kind of get off of that stuff. But so when I left the hospital, I remember my fiance and I, we ended up, she ended up picking me up, and she was with me most of the time, but they let her go downstairs first, get the car, pull it up front. And I remember, like, it felt like I could be pushed and I would fall.
So you were an outpatient?
No. So I was in the hospital, at post-surgery. And then I was there for 2 days. So April 30th through, I believe it was May 2nd. And
Wow.
So I got out of there very quickly because I was just ready to walk around.
Did.
I mean, the same night that I got out of surgery, I was joking, cracking jokes, and walking around the hospital. So
inside of that surgery, they removed the tumor then, or did they treat the tumor? Like, what happened?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I mean, when So the purpose of the biopsy was to determine whether they would operate it and try to remove some, or kind of determine the plan of action. So the neurosurgeon, I kind of gave him the the right, so to speak, to make a decision that that made the most sense based off of whatever data he's experienced in the past, and whatever experience that he's had. So he actually ended up removing everything that he could see, which is a great news, right? But with these kinds of brain tumors, it's kind of tough. Because even at the perimeter of the tumor, there's
They get tentacles on
yeah,
them.
exactly right. Yep, they have tentacles, and so they decided that what we're going to do post surgery was get into some proton radiotherapy along with concurrent with chemotherapy, Temodar.
So then at that point, there's no decision to go inside your head again. So are you done with that part?
As of right now, yes, that's that part is.
I think to your benefit, that happened so quickly from the diagnosis to the operation. Sometimes things of this seriousness of matter, it's better to not overthink it.
Exactly.
Listening to you have a very crisp mind. So the idea that you've gone through this and you sound as sharp as you do mentally, it's a true testament to the operation you received. Now, what kind of treatments are you currently doing now?
Yeah, so I completed my first round of proton radiotherapy, and along with the chemotherapy, which is Temodar. So it's an oral chemo pill that they give to patients that have brain cancers.
Is that, what was the first one you mentioned? Is that the same as in a pill too, or is that IV?
What, the proton?
Yeah.
Proton, so actually, proton radiotherapy is just radiation. It's a different kind of radiation, and if anybody that's listening wants to Google it, check it out. Photon versus proton. It's just two different techniques.
Is that the one that you had the mask made? Because we see you on Instagram in some elaborate space-looking thing with this mesh net on your face. Yeah. I did a couple of head MRIs. I couldn't take that. I was looking at you and it brought back memories of that. I'm like, God bless him. That's tough.
Yeah.
So it's because there's a point at which when there isn't any pain anymore, it's all mental. Yep. And you're very emotionally headstrong. I can tell just talking to you and listening to your background. So this is extremely exciting. So how much more treatment do you have moving forward?
As far as treatment, so I did the 6 weeks of concurrent, radiation along with the chemo, and then I just finished my second round. Hopefully, and it's in God's hands. I don't need to do any more radiation. Super intense, and so I just completed a 5. It's like about 6 to 12 cycles, and the cycles are 5 days on and 28 days off. So I just completed my second cycle, and that's basically a double dose, and which goes into a triple dose of the oral chemotherapy pill.
Now you're looking at around, say, maybe February of next year to being finished with this?
That's correct. And that's as long as my body can tolerate the medication. And it's a precaution that that the doctors and, the oncology team likes to take. And, they're feeling very positive about, my prognosis and the diagnosis that I have. But they like to take it as a precaution because, the data, there is supporting data to, although they see that, this has been helpful, it's still great to treat this, the way that they plan to.
This is awesome. I mean, your mental capacity and your strength is just apparent.
If you have a story to share, tell us, how are you going to leave your mark? Contact us. Leave your mark with our host, Vince Cortese. Be our guest.
What I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about where you're at on the creative side. You said you were engaged. You got getting ready to get married here soon. I love your music on there. I like to sample or put some of this on the backside of this podcast so some people can hear what you're doing and promote your TikTok and stuff. So kind of fill me in on getting back into life and how you're approaching it and what's going on and what's next.
Sure. Yeah. That's a great question. So, as far as, it's like multi-part here. So I'll actually answer, from a artist perspective, from the, Cedek, the music. So for, the 9 or 10 years that I did do music, I was an electronic music producer, who ended up getting into, some rap and country and rock and that sort of thing, for production. I actually took a break from music, for about the 5 years, and, just, was inspired by this, by the cancer, right? To go back. It was a healthy break I needed from music. I took a break. Things got a little, if anybody's traveled or been on the road doing music for years, it's like, it gets a little intense sometimes. So kind of got lost in that a little bit. And so I took a break and I wanted to develop a healthier relationship with music. And I wasn't sure if that was going to mean, just focus on, music syncing for movies or licensing again, or that sort of thing. And so I'm actually building out my studio again now. I actually just yesterday ordered my carpet for my room upstairs, and I still have all my studio equipment. So definitely want to make some songs that are more aligned to, not. I'm not going to just make, cancer music, right? But music that is inspirational. And so
Right.
that's that aspect of there, as far as the music. And as far as the, the TikTok and the, I have a brand called Regis Philbin. God rest, may Regis Philbin rest in peace. But I actually, was very inspired as a kid, watching Regis and Kathy Lee and that sort of thing. And, for me, it's just, I think that we should laugh a little bit at, some of the hardships, and not just cancer, any kind of adversity that anybody's facing or dealing with. I think it's important to laugh and smile and love your friends, love your family, allow that love to come into our lives, and to also inspire folks, right? I've always been considered, and that's, from my friends. They're like, man, you're so inspirational. When I was doing sales, they're like, you should do music or some movies or something, like, like you're
Yeah.
always so energetic. And
They could feel your creativity.
exactly. And I didn't know until I was 25 years old that, I mean, I was a breakdancer growing up and stuff, I was a b-boy, and
Yeah, it's in you
it's
the
been
whole
in me,
time.
right? And so the Regis Philbin brand, I've had the opportunity to do some reviews and some great stuff coming up, which is awesome, right? For the Amazon Halo band that I have, and all these great things, right? But the key thing is, cancer sucks, right? But I don't look at it. I don't think that every day, right? I might post about that, saying, yeah, cancer sucks and blah blah blah. But I'm always saying, the underlying tone of, for me, is like, just be positive, and we're going to get through this together. And it takes all of us to fight cancer, not just cancer patients, or cancer survivors or thrivers or whatever you choose to call it, cancer warrior. But it takes your family, your friends, the support, and we have to let our family love us and our friends support us.
This is outstanding. So I have to ask, if diamonds come, how would you like to leave your mark in this world?
Right now, what's at the forefront of my mind is this Regis Philbin brand, and just really writing, about cancer and what it's like. And I'd like to leave, what I was looking for when I got diagnosed with cancer was just like someone that just put everything out there and organized it, right? Like, you get diagnosed with cancer. Here's, here's my options. Here's kind of what I did, right? So I'm actually working on doing that, talking about, what it's like when you get diagnosed with cancer, the different feelings, the fear. It's okay to cry, right? Like, you have to have some time to mourn, but you got to kind of put a time limit on that stuff, right? Just like anything else. So I think that's the key thing for me is actually just continuing to leave my mark that way. Leaving that lasting impression on folks when they see me. They're like, you had surgery when? And I'm like, it's, one, the grace of God that I'm here. Two, the chances weren't, having an awake surgery of any kind is intense. And so when I tell people about that, they're like, whoa, what is that? But everything is going to be cataloged, while I'm still here, and I hope to just kind of, help some people get that inspiration, right? Like, if it's not cancer for you, if it's something else, or, you got some troubles in your family or whatever it is, just know that there's people that are going through it, and some are more willing to voice it than others. And I hope to give people a platform to do the same as well.
Lastly, is there a wedding date?
So tentatively right now, it's looking like May of 2022. that is the
Wow.
plan for for a smaller kind of more immediate family wedding, and then we're do a reception. We're targeting August of 2022. Now that is all
Uh,
really dependent on COVID and all these things that are kind of going on in life.
yeah, there's a lot of variables
Yeah,
right
and
now.
how I'm reacting to treatment and all these things, but we're that's the plan right now, and we're gonna stick to it.
Sadiq, you're a pleasure. I was so glad we had the opportunity to speak with you. The
Likewise.
inspiration that you want to be, you truly are. Unbelievable amount of talent, gigantic heart, tremendous courage. I can't thank you enough. You're a great example of how to address this head on.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, and it's great to hear that, and it's great for you to have me on the show, and much love to you. Appreciate it, Vince.
We're going to get all your information. We'll be posted on the podcast and links, so these folks can catch up with you on TikTok and Instagram and follow you and see what's going on in your journey and dealing with this. And we wish you the best. We'll be praying for you, and stay blessed.
Thank you so much, and likewise, much love to you, and much love to everyone. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Leave Your Mark today. Tune into our next episode of Leave Your Mark with Vince Cortese. Be blessed.
You just left your mark. Thanks for listening. Listen to more episodes on demand. Just click Leave Your Mark with Vince Cortese.